Part 2, The End of the Honeymoon. Chapter 10, The Art of Praise. It's sad that many people do a great job without ever being praised by their superiors. Compliments are very important to them. As a manager, you should know how to praise your employees if they deserve it. Don't hesitate, because praise is worth 1,000 times more than money. Chapter 11, Change of Staff. The basic character of a person never changes completely. You can only slightly modify their behavior and make them change the way they work, but you can't change their personality forever. What should be done is to expose the individual to an environment where his or her natural inclinations match the demands of the job. To know the employee's personality, the manager must be democratic, and the company can survey through the test. An effective department must have these characteristics linked together and properly promoted. Some employees often get involved in personal problems that affect their work. Never judge them, you only deal with work-related problems. May direct them to a community employee assistance program. If they can't solve their personal problems, they will be fired. If we want to make a change in our activities, we have to break it down into small elements and do it gradually. People will accept them more comfortably. Chapter 12, People in the Middle. A midget is someone who isn't bad enough to get fired, but isn't good enough to make you happy. This is due to poor recruitment, lack of training, or incompetence. A mediocre employee who is allowed to stay for many years turns out to be the kind of person that should have been dealt with in the first year. It is possible to transfer people halfway to work in another department, to do jobs that require a little higher ability, with the cooperation of other managers. The middleman is a difficult thing for the manager to accept because you are not a witch. Chapter 13, Employee Discipline. All employees you manage should be aware of the work standards set by the company. You have to have a way of knowing how they perform against the standard. In order to build effective discipline, it is necessary to receive good feedback to know the work is not satisfactory as soon as possible so that it can be corrected in time. Never discipline employees in front of a crowd. Never humiliate them even when firing them. Employees should understand that the problem is performance, not personal. When there is a problem, you should have a conversation with the employee, not a monologue. Make sure employees understand that the work they do is unsatisfactory. But it's important to say this. Try to avoid misunderstanding. First of all, you must firmly refuse to accept the current situation, but give him a certain amount of time to solve the problem himself. But must show the employee how and to what extent is acceptable. As a manager, you can minimize the impact of privacy on your work without making others a victim of your own hardships. You have to keep yourself calm at all times to be able to think more clearly and solve problems better. Chapter 14, Recruiting and Training New Employees. Candidates participating in recruitment often meet the factors of experience, professional ability, and qualifications. But the most important factor is personality. Take a look at candidate profiles before meeting them. Don't go right into the work. Must create a sense of openness. The candidate will have a good impression on you and the company whether hired or not. You ask lots of questions to get a sense of the candidate's personality, and encourage the candidate to ask you again. Through the answers and questions of the candidate, you will have a lot of information about their personality. After selecting the right person for the job, you should set up a meeting and talk with them so that the candidate can determine the working attitude before training them. Some companies provide training by creating a detailed workbook or selecting a trainer. The coached and the coach hand over the work step by step steadily. You must get feedback on the quality of their work. Must let new employees know what the company expects from them. However, don't expect perfection. Set an acceptable level of fouling. Chapter 15. Oh my God. I can't fire anyone. The firing of an employee can hurt both sides. It is not right to fire without notice, unless the employee is cheating or engaging in violent behavior. You should not act impulsively, follow emotions. The most common case of layoffs is due to incompetent employees who do not meet company standards. Review the coaching work to adjust, or find out if there is a conflict between them and the coach. Only after it has been determined that the employee is not expected to improve is dismissal the appropriate course of action. In case the company is merged or sold, the new company will change and reorganize. Some employees will be laid off. Or the company downsizes operations, cuts employees. Understand that no one feels that firing is fair. Even some people panic, miserable. Use whatever influence you may have in the company to help them. Enough salary and regulations, creating conditions for them to find other jobs. As a manager, you must be absolutely certain that the dismissal is justifiable. You must be completely objective, and do it in a prudent, tactful, and humane manner.